And it was just a great mixture of support for the team, but then showing your feelings against the ownership. And that's exactly what it should be. Home and away, week in, week out. We need to show our support for the team, but we also need to make our feelings known. And I think that's exactly what happened last night. But I'm so happy that you're saying that came across on TV like it did.
It was real loud. And it's kind of like... I think stuff like that can have an effect on the fans, because on the team, because the team and certain players...
His mic's muted.
Oh, is my mic muted? Oh, okay.
Okay. They're saying in the comments his mic is muted.
I can hear both of you.
Are they both turned up on the thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, we'll keep going.
Someone's joking with us. Someone's trolling me from the comments like I normally do.
They both turned up on the thing. Last night, look. The way...
It was so loud.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
okay,
fine.
you can't hear me. They
on.
are trolling me.
We got trolled and we had to actually check it because of you.
But yeah, no, I think that really can help the team, just because, there's like a really, like this mist, this doom and gloom mist. But the fans away especially are behind the team. They're behind the manager.
Yeah.
The problem with this club, we all know what it is. When the away fans, who pay money to travel away to these games. Obviously, this wasn't very far, but like to be that loud on TV as well, and obviously, they spoke about it quite at length, and then some of the press has picked up on it today. So I only see good things there for that.
Yeah, you say not so far last night, but actually the effort some fans had to go to get to the game last night. The district line was shut, the circle line was shut. There were heavy delays on all the other lines as well. Literally, the only line that was open last night and working properly was the Northern line. So I'm hearing people had to get dropped off somewhere on the tube, get a bus to Victoria, and then 2 buses to Craven Cottage, and it was taking people like 2-3 hours to get to the game last night. So the fans showed up in their numbers, their voices were heard, and I think that was the best thing to come out of last night's game, and it's just something that we need to keep going, albeit that was the last game, Premier League game, until the end of the transfer window now. Not long to go. Obviously, we've got Preston this weekend, which I'm sure the fans will make their voices heard once again. But in terms of the game last night, it was just more or less the same kind of Spurs only showing up for 45 minutes, or less than 45 minutes, to be honest. First half, I mean, Fulham had us penned into our own half for the majority of it, and we couldn't get out. Our passing was pretty dire from Dyer and Højbjerg, Bentancur with wayward passes as well.
They put themselves under pressure with bad passing, like a pass which goes behind you. So okay, you're playing it to my bad foot. I'm running back now. The press is all on now. It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah,
It's constantly put each other under pressure. And Romero at the start of the game, I don't know what it was. He made one really lazy movement, lost the ball. Then he did it again, and then he did it again. He did it 4 times in a row. And I was like, wow, he is on a bad one. He kind of turned it around, but it was like, wow, when his head slightly goes, it's quite crazy to see. He's so strong when he's playing with that kind of like fury, but when his head starts to go, or when he's like angry at a player around him, you saw it a couple times. You saw him, he was running back, he was clearing up after someone, he was just screaming at his own players. He has that player, like if he gets so negative, it can ruin his game.
I got a feeling with Romero, like, we're seeing a player right now who's obviously got bundles of ability, but he's not showing it as much as maybe everyone would like. And I feel like once he gets a proper partner next to him, we're going to see the real Romero come through.
Yeah. Do you think he kind of comes back from, like, it's not, you don't win a World Cup every now and then, like some players go their whole life, some of the greatest that ever lived never
you
did
saw
it.
what happened with Hugo after he won the World Cup. He started drink driving, making mistakes every week.
Exactly. You could imagine him. I've just spent like a month with Messi, and we did this great thing. Now I have to come back and get lazy, sloppy passes. I can't go back to my keeper. Who's that guy? Doherty? Emerson? What? Like, I don't need this. I'm a World Cup winner.
Doherty or Emerson to the right, Dyer to the left, Lloris behind me, Højbjerg in front of me, and like, what am I doing here?
Stuck in the
Exactly. It's
that
like,
used to be Romero's song.
Really is, but
Clowns to the left.
What is it, in your opinion, by Spurs? Like, why can we only play for 45 minutes? And why for 45 minutes when we're not playing well? We can't even make a 5-yard pass. I just don't get it.
When we get into that low kind of confidence where things are just shaky, it's like you almost need them. Dyer did something really important last night. It felt, I think it was at the start of the second half. I think it was the start of the second half. But they were gathering momentum again. And he went down and he stayed down. And you can see he wasn't. It was nothing really. You see on the replay, never got really.
Yeah.
But he stayed down and he broke the momentum. And those were the little positive things I thought that came out last night. Like, just trying to take momentum back. You know that you're all playing gash. Like, change the either go long or like just change something for a bit. Kick the ball out, get a breath. Which old stuff you get trained as a kid, But when it's bad, it's bad. When it's good, it's not as good as it was last season. And this is the thing we have to change. I think there's a lot of factors of was losing the fitness coach a big thing? Is this the stuff between Conte and the club? Is this a thing? Does Conte feel that is he galvanizing the players? Are the players really wanting to put what they need to play his system in? Because it's to play the amount of games, to play a World Cup, and then to come back and to do his training, to play his system. Not easy. You have to have exuberance to do that.
It's true. And do you think that's a factor coming into this season? Like the World Cup maybe kind of drifted people's minds, especially Romero. You got players that went quite far in the World Cup. When you're looking back at the back end of last season, we were defensively solid. We weren't conceding many goals at all. And now we're literally one of the most conceded goals in the whole Premier League.
2 goals a game.
What do you put that down to?
I think that you can't ignore anymore the fact that like the World Cup has done things.
You think it's the damage?
Look at the table. You can see like really good teams are struggling. Also, like where squads are in their progression, we're at a really weird place. We finished last season well, with like 14 maybe really good fit players.
Yeah.
We had to not just get 6 players. We had to get a lot of players. Even like we had to re-recruit the youth and be bringing more players through. We had to do a lot of work, and we definitely didn't do that. I'm not sure like the trip to South Korea, in retrospect, was really the right thing to do. Killing them out there, like playing a lot of these little games, like I'm not sure if it would have just been better to like just have a complete focus on a squad build and do all the work you had to do. I think we look lazy at times. I think we look unconfident most of the time. It seems like we only believe that we've only got 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Because we're worried about injuries, Because you look at that World Cup, you could make a team. You could pick like some of the best players, and you'd be going, a lot of these are Spurs players. Like Perisic looks like world class all of a sudden. Like Højbjerg, like all these players. Bentancur was they were all talking about him at one point as one of the best midfielders in the World Cup.
He was, yeah.
And then like you kind of like bring them back in Spurs shirts, and you kind of can see that there is this mentality thing. And Conte is the person who can bring a mentality to a club, but you got to back him. You can't have someone being the head of the mentality and the culture that they're trying to put in if you're messing with his mind. You know what I mean? If you're like, we want you to be confident, we want you to make them confident, but we don't really back you. We don't really trust you.
Yeah.
What's that going to do to him?
Yeah, it's 100%.
So it's all a knockdown.
100%. And that's why this club is just in a complete mess from top to bottom, because no one trusts each other. Levy don't trust Conte because Conte's not going to sign on the dotted line and get past it, so he's not going to get backed. The players that we've got now, half of them or majority of them are not good enough, and Levy's not upgrading them because Conte ain't signing the deal. The players, do they really believe that that there's a long-term project here because Conte's not signing and Levy's not bringing the players? So I mean, there's a complete disconnect from everyone at this football club.
It's all business, and the point where like football should be happening. Like in film and TV, you get like executives, and then like for TV series, for example, that you get a showrunner. Now, your favorite TV shows, Breaking Bad, all these shows, they would never happen if that showrunner doesn't, like, the executives want this thing, the creatives, the directors, they all want this thing, and it's different. The showrunner has to go between, and there's all these people that kind of they balance that. At Spurs, there's the business and the board and what they need,
and football's just a side piece.
Like the property development, and there's no person in between. And it should be someone like, maybe not Fabio Paratici, he really should be developing mostly just the football side of it in the squad. But we don't have people who can link the Dr. Evil mentality of Levy with Conte's winning mentality with a football team. It doesn't really work.
But Paratici is supposed to be that guy, though. He is supposed to be that guy. That's what he was brought in for. But I still think Daniel Levy is just sticking his oar in way too much. That's the thing. But anyway, Fabio Paratici is about to get banned anyway. So
Fabio Paratici's on the run, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
He's looking for escape routes to bloody Mexico right now.
Literally. But anyway, back on the game, Fulham were dominating us for the majority of that first half.
They played good football.
They did,
this season, they've played good football.
They did, and Hugo Lloris was making big saves in that first half, albeit he did spill a couple of them and made up for it. But right at the end of that first half, a goal comes out of nowhere from Harry Kane. Lovely shift from Heung-min Son to play it into Harry Kane. He shifts outside and wow, what a goal into the bottom right-hand corner. Curls round Leno, who was having a good game as well.
He used the defender as a screen.
He did.
The blind spot, used the defender as a screen. And for someone like him, for a striker, like that is, you take the ball on the turn, you use your shoulder to buy you a bit of space, and then that's all you need. But then you still got to hit that point. You know,
side netting.
It's not
right in the side netting.
easiest thing to do. You know, it's everything leading up. If he gets to space, all those little millimeters that he buys, that's the genius of him. But then to hit, that's the world class thing. The greatness of him is just to buy the space. To hit the corners are the world class thing. And you know, I really appreciated Son. I thought last night, like, he knows he's in a rut, but I thought at certain times he was trying to buy his form back. And that whole running, like, give me the ball here, like, I like that. He's like, give me the ball, and he looks up and he finds Harry. That little more of that has to happen, and I know he'll break out of it. But I thought, like, some nice little improvements. But also what I thought in the first half, you know, we were, you know, until we got the goal, we weren't doing the 5-4-1. We were in good formations, and it was decent. Things weren't clicking. That's a problem with us sometimes, just don't click.
It was the 5-yard passes that were letting us down consistently, time and time again. That's all it was.
When you're trying to get those rondos before a game and in training, they're important because they're not supposed to just be good for you to nutmeg people in banter. They're important for you to get your close control tight. And that has been something that Spurs are really good at. Like, when we get going, we're really good at. Last night, when the ball's running out and the passes are going behind and then someone's in, that's the stuff that then makes it harder and harder. But when we start to, like in the second half, like when we've gotten that 5-4, then you start to see that there's more required of Son and Kulusevski than what we think, because Son was dropping in and Kulu was coming the other side, and they held a very strong midfield line. So sometimes it's like that side of the game that we don't really appreciate of players. You know, like I don't think Son is that player. I think he's a forward. I think he's someone who is brilliant over the shoulder, shoulder of a player, in behind,
I agree.
Diagonal runs. That's why I love the idea of seeing him in a 2 with Kane or whoever. But he's got this other job that he has to do, and I think at his age, I think his mind going, well, I'm the like top scorer last season. Why am I having to constantly fall back and defend and be a midfielder? You know, so I think some of that is going on as well. But I thought some promising little things from him last night. It wasn't his performance, because now we have to like let go of how amazing he is. He's in a rut and he's trying to fight his way back. I think a little bit more support for his struggle to get back to the best.
Do you think that you know, with what you're saying on, you know, you saw things that you liked there from Sonny last night, is it enough for you though to keep him in the team with Richarlison maybe hot on his heels a little bit?
Yeah, no, I think it's always good. Like, what I was really surprised with Conte, and I know it is because you read about the stuff that went on and how he actually uses a tactic like this to build togetherness. He would drop players to build togetherness. Like, I mean, that's a classic thing when you're under 14 level, you know. Like, if anyone is not giving their all in training, you say, you won't play, you know. And when you come to a big club, I thought he was going to do that. Anyone. Son, Kane, anyone. If you play it below, we drop you out. And then you put the arm around and say, look, I didn't drop you because you're bad. You're an amazing player. We
saw it against Leicester, right? Came out the team, comes on with at half-time, whatever it was, scores a hat-trick, and he was brilliant.
So I do think he needs that. And I think that's what Conte has to kind of keep, you know, like, but then Conte, that's a privilege as well, because how can I? How can I if I've got Richie out and we've got no players? So even there, he can't do that strong manager thing.
Yeah, and that's the kind of situation that this board have left us in time and time again. You know, we've got our first 11, and that's it.
players know they're going to start.
There's no options. There's no options.
There's no impetus for them to be like, oh, I could get dropped here.
Yeah.
You know, you should always be feeling like you're fighting for something. Harry Kane is a different level because he's fighting to break records. He knows he's pulling a whole team up.
Yeah.
Whereas players like Son and the other players, like they should always know that this could be taken from them. You know.
And he played like that last night, Harry Kane, didn't he? He was a man on a mission, consistently taking shots last night. I mean, probably should have broken the record last night because he had that chance in the second half. Yeah, where you're thinking it was a great save, but it was kind of straight at him, and either side of Leno, that's probably a goal, isn't it?
I kind of felt like he got a little bit screened by someone jumped in front, and then it kind of came, and it was like, I just like, he reacted instead of like he could have just turned his head a little bit, and he probably got the corner, but that was a tough one. But yeah, his performance, I think we get so used to seeing it over and over. Like when he gets the ball in his feet, and sometimes it's like dropping at a weird level. Do that 100 times, throw the ball up and try take it and turn. Ball
He's so
to
good
the
at
ground.
beating his man.
You know,
so good at beating his man.
It's world class stuff, and I think we get used to it. But
do you think we take it for granted a bit what Harry Kane produces for us on a football pitch, and maybe when it's all said and done and he's gone out of this team, we'll be like, wow, what a player that guy was.
Look at even go and watch like Osman, or go and watch like Vlahovic, and go and watch Lewandowski. He doesn't do that. Lewandowski,
even Haaland, for God's sake. Look at Haaland.
Yeah, these players do not come deep. Take a tough, weird ball that's fired into him by someone who's out of confidence, and then spin and then put your player in. None of them do that.
You know who can do that though is someone like Karim Benzema. You know, he's brilliant at doing that. I mean, he's the one that's probably most similar to Harry Kane out of everyone.
Yeah, and there is a few players, but to consistently do it with Harry's build, with his age, like to consistently do it, to be able to be, like, we could turn around and say, like, you know what, we're going to play with two up top, and Harry's going to be a cam. That would work. Like, so he is the guy who can give you loads of options. It's just wait till he's not there, and you don't have anyone who can. Some of these balls that are into like the halfway line or into our half, and then he spins and puts someone in. Who's going to come and do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Not many players.
We're seeing greatness in front of our very eyes week in, week out with Harry Kane. It's just such a shame that we don't have maybe the squad to put around him, because we all know what's happening with Harry Kane. Contract running down, 2024 it runs out. Up in the air if he's going to sign one or not. And I feel like if he does sign one, we're just wasting his career at the moment with this hierarchy.
It's a hard thing for him, because I was talking to friends about it this morning. It's like, you imagine, so like the way the rest of the world looks at it is like, Harry Kane must leave. Why is he there? What 266 goals, 0 trophies, right? And it's like, imagine someone came to you and said, like, here, you've got this great job, you get paid this amazing money, but for some silverware, I'm going to uproot you away from your family, change all of their lives and their dynamics, just so you can get a trophy. Like, take you away from your teammates, the club, the thing you love, just so you can get some nice Tupperware to put up somewhere. Like, it's insane. This is where we're at in football. Like, we don't respect a man who loves his club. And so I think it's incredible if he does, but also I would fully understand if he wants a new challenge. If he's like, I can't every season. That's the amazing thing, is that he still rises for the challenge. So I totally understand if he does. But I think it's beautiful to see that he's still here all these years later and doing it. And God,
Can you imagine the Spurs without Harry Kane though? You can't imagine it, can you?
It's dark ages stuff.
Yeah.
It's that painful you may as well bring Poch back at that point and start the painful rebuild, But God, no, I couldn't imagine. And a kind of like
start it 4 years later.
And a semi kind of boring game. Like, if you're just like, it wasn't boring for us because watching us defend in the second half was actually quite amazing. They defended well.
Yeah.
And like Emerson Royal, like, did an incredibly good job last night. And maybe that's an incredibly good job because compared to his past performances, but he never really lost the ball, which is rare for him. He made decent passes. He looked where he was passing the ball. Good. Good.
I saw a couple of no-look passes in there from him last night.
He did some really nice stuff, but also he fell, like we were saying to Ashmatic, Ashmatic called it the Zinchenko role. Where I was noticing he was coming inside a lot.
Yeah.
So Romero then goes further wide, and if you want to go up the line, Romero can do it. But he was coming inside in that half space, and then things were starting to happen there. He was finding space.
Yeah.
It opened up a new channel.
I thought he was brilliant last night,
Yeah, and
Emerson.
credit where it's due, because I rant on him a lot, but gotta give credit where it's due. He actually he was great defensively, and he stopped the ball coming back from he stopped them counter attacking on us.
The thing is with Emerson, right? Like he gets into this habit of when we're really looking for that right wing back to bring one in. I think he did it at the back end of last season as well, and he had that really good run towards the end of the season last year. And he kind of, is he that player, or is he the player that we see in first halves of the season and what we've seen so far this season? Because I've seen two sides of Emerson Royale, and I still, even last night, don't think his attacking side is way good enough.
Yeah.
But is there a case to say, keep Emerson at the club and get rid of Doherty and bring in an attacking one like Porro, so we've got the different options of Emerson and Porro? Or are we getting kind of blinded by one or two good performances?
Well, I do think that, Emerson, I think Emerson is good defensively. It's just, I can imagine that Conte would have said to him, look, here's what we're going to do. I don't think I'm using you right, and it's my fault. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to come on this side here, and then you come up with a tactic, and the player goes, wow, the manager thinks of me, and then that kind of stuff really works. So I think he has a little bit more quality in defense than Doherty. So get Porro or someone really fast, have them as the number one when you want to attack, but then have an option like Emerson. It's just like if you're and Emerson, and then maybe keep Spence in the prison, the purgatory that he's in, so maybe he could be brought out. But yeah, I don't see anything long term with Doherty. He's okay, works really well with Kulusevski, but defensively, he's a bit problematic.
And age as well, to be honest. But on the other side, Ivan Perisic, again, I thought was another poor performance from him last night.
He was so scared to go forward. He was getting
the ball. What is that about Perisic? Because, what we know from Perisic, that's his number one forte, attacking those lines, getting the ball in the box. He just can't do that anymore.
Yeah, and I think also there might have been the tactic of, let's not go, balls to the wall. But it was this annoying thing from a wing back, that they come really wide, they touch the touch lane. If you're doing that, it's because you're trying to make a run up there or in there. He comes there and then he just goes back there. It's like,
what are you doing?
Are you going back to a world-class playmaker? You go back to Davies. What are you doing? What's he gonna do? You're a world-class guy. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So I just couldn't understand. It reeked of I don't have the confidence, and that's horrible to see. So, but then you just don't know what the strategies were. I got the feeling that we were, and it's horrible to think, but it's also give credit where it's due to other teams, that we were going to sit and try to get a lead at some point and then hold on for dear life. And it played out like that.
I kind of get the feeling with Perisic now that the wing-back role might not be for him anymore. I think defensively, I don't think he's anywhere near good enough anymore. I don't know if he's got the energy to keep getting up and down that pitch. I kind of feel that we should just keep him up the pitch now.
As a winger.
As a winger, and that's it. I think that should be his new role now. I think wing-back, I think he's past his sell-by date for a wing-back. I really do.
Yeah, I think he can bring stuff. Those little times when he was, was he playing up on a 2 with Harry? It was really threadbare.
Yeah.
And I think he looks a little bit more comfortable that way, because you do like him on the pitch for his the way he delivers the ball. He's got a really good delivery, but it's always advanced. You know, put him in there then. Arguable this season with Son's form, he would have been better. In those advanced. The difference is he's now so used to being advanced that if there is a really good wing back, like a Doji comes in and then he's getting in the way because he's pulling so far wide. The great thing with Son is that he's kind of playing 3 different positions. Yeah. So Perisic can't play those. And can Perisic, in a game like last night, sit and just defend for dear life? No. So then
he can't do that. But that's the whole point, right? We're calling for Son to come out of the team. We've got a guy there in Perisic who can play that role. In my opinion, can play it to a really high level without having to defend too much. But the problem is then we got Sessignon on at left wing back then, and our options are just so poor. We can't shift around the team and change it, can we?
And it all starts from having a solid world beating back 3. If you have that, if you have crunchers that where where attackers are a little bit like apprehensive because they know they're going to get going, they're going to get hit here. You know, like if you had that, then you can allow the privilege of a Perisic to float up, and you know, and same with the right side. But we just look like a team who's a little bit worried. Like I can imagine Perisic like, I can't go that way because it's Davies or it's Longley. You know, like I've got to fall back. You know, so everywhere you look on the pitch, it's like players just are playing like they're handcuffed not because of Conte, but because of like what Conte's having to deal with. You know.
It's like clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's like at Spurs at the moment. But let's talk about the midfield pairing, because Bentancur once again made a real difference in the game last night. I mean, we just look so much more assured when he's on the pitch. It wasn't even his greatest performance last night, but I thought...
compared to his performances, it wasn't.
Yeah, and I thought he was still one of our best players on the pitch last night. And he's always the one going to press from the front. And when we don't have him on that pitch, no one does that job. No one goes and presses. Yeah. He knits the ball really nicely in the middle of the park as well, albeit there were quite a few sloppy passes in there from him last night. But like that goal we scored against Man City, where he's the one that was pressing Rodri and we ultimately got that goal. He nearly did it again last night. He nearly did it again last night.
A lot of the time he's like the furthest presser. But also it's like, I love it from, if you love football, you can't not enjoy watching him play, because he's so spatially aware. He knows what's over his shoulder. He's got very good peripheral vision. Sometimes it's like he plays a pass which is too intelligent. You know, you're kind of like, bro.
You're playing for Tottenham here. Can you see who's around
like,
you?
Who are you playing for? You know, and that's also a reflection of his partner is not where he should be at times, or the person who's supposed to be overlapping isn't there either. So some of his passes, and even sometimes he was put in an overtly clever pass inside to Kane, and I just think Kane was kind of like, shit, I didn't, you know, like, because if he's been out of the team for a while and you're not used to him doing really clever things, but so some of it was sloppy, but I also took it like, because he did a couple of sloppy things, and normally when you do one sloppy thing and everyone hits on you, you know, like a bad manager will be like, stop, you know, but no one did, and they kept trying really nice things, and he kept dropping the shoulder, and great players are going to make mistakes, but as long as they don't lose their confidence and they keep going, because he kept going. And then you just see, yeah, sure, there's 2 or 3 mistakes here, but there's like 16 really good things to talk about, you know? So I appreciate him a lot, like how he turns, how he plays the ball, how he's smooth. The one ball into Kane's feet, it's coming out this guy, and he's just casually just like catches it on the volley, slides it across the ground to Kane's feet. And it's like, who else in this team is going to do that?
The only person is him or Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 people, literally.
Yeah, he's a Selkie player. We're very lucky to have got him, and how this is like how it's...
Yeah, and like the one criticism I heard from Juventus fans on Bentancur was that he doesn't take enough initiative or authority on the pitch. He doesn't take enough responsibility. And I think since being managed under Antonio Conte, I think we did see that from Bentancur last season. But I think now, this season, he is taking that authority on the pitch, and he's the one really trying to, like, he's our key man, really.
I think he knows he's like the best player in the world right now. You know, like other than Harry Kane, I think he knows that if something's going to happen, it's because I'm going to do it, you know. And that's for the ego of a player that has to have that. He has to know, because that's how you can like pick a team up and go and do something. That's what Bale had all those years ago, you know. So I hope we keep seeing it, but I hope also that he can lift Højbjerg out of this funk of like not being able to complete simple passes, you know, and the ball hitting off his feet and then jumping away. That's just, he's in his head.
What's it about? Because like Højbjerg off the ball is still the same Højbjerg. Like off the ball, he's brilliant, chasing down everything, tackles, interceptions. You know what you're going to get from Højbjerg. But on the ball, he just can't make a 5-yard pass at the moment. I mean, do you keep Højbjerg in the team for that off the ball work that he does, because it is invaluable to us, or do you maybe look at a Bissouma or Sarr to start taking his place?
Yeah, I genuinely think, I mean, it's difficult because you don't want Højbjerg's confidence levels to drop. You don't want to be sitting there with a Højbjerg on the bench. You want to be having him at his best. So sometimes you just got to play through. You got to get a little bit of a good run of results. But someone like Sarr, I feel just right now, he could be doing these jobs better. You know, he's not clumsy on the ball. He's got probably one of the best kind of like dive tackles. Like he's so long So I think Sarr would be amazing. But it's just that thing of like, if you've got a Højbjerg on your side, you need him to get back to confident, you know.
So look, I think good 3 points last night. I think the second half performance deserved those 3 points, and Harry Kane equaling Jimmy Greaves' record last night, which is unbelievable. A lot of fans thinking no one was ever going to break Jimmy Greaves' record, but now Harry Kane is 1 goal away from beating the record. Now, in terms of the league position, only 3 points now behind Newcastle, 3 points behind Manchester United. Do you think we can make the top 4 this year?
Yeah, I was looking at it last night. Like, the run that Manchester United have in February looks daunting. Like,
oh, really?
Wow. Like, they've got to play 15 games in 32 days.
Oh, because they're still in all the cups as well. Yeah.
And they've got tough games as well. And speaking to really close friends of mine who are Man United fans, it's like, it's looking good right now because of if one of their key players get injured, things will fall apart. Like Casemiro being out against, was he out against
Arsenal? Yeah.
Like, you can see these. There is problems still there. You know, Rashford's prone to dips of form. Right now, he's in incredible form, but this can happen. So I look at them as being 3 points behind them, and I think that's they're easily catchable. And if we get in a run, that our thing is we need to get in a run. You know. And I think also Newcastle haven't been here for a long time. At some point, they might drop the ball as well. So I think to be at this part of the season, halfway through, to be 3 points from third, that's and
with all the negativity surrounding and all the positivity that's been thrown Newcastle's way, that's been thrown Man United way, we're only 3 points adrift. Yeah. It's actually mental to me to think that.
Yeah,
we've been terrible this season, and we're only 3 points adrift. And we've played Man City, after the weekend, we would have played Man City twice. We've played Arsenal twice. So, I mean, we're actually not in a bad spot, are we?
No. Yeah, and I think because we had that situation last season where we got on a really good run and everyone was able to keep fit, hopefully if praying that we get, like, maybe 1 or 2 signings in, but if we can keep everyone fit, these players' names on paper, like, you would think, if you look at Newcastle at least, you would think, and they've got some accident-prone, injury-prone players as well.
Yeah, but not only that, but they draw way too many games. They're very much catchable, in my opinion, Newcastle.
Yeah, but that's their MO as well. It's like when tough games come, get the draw, because that's where they're at in their progression.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing where they're at. The jump from where they were last season to where they're at now, but this is the big boy game here, and I'm not sure if they're quite up to that fight just yet. We have the confidence of what we did last. We know we can go on a 10-game run. We know we can tighten things up and then be that team that doesn't lose a goal for 10 games. We know we've got the other way, but hopefully, I'm hoping that we've got this out of the way. This losing 2 goals a game for 10 in a row.
Do you think that we've kind of coming out of it the other end a little bit? Because last 3 away games now, we beat Palace 4-0. We went 2-0 up against Man City and lost 4-2 against a very good side, but a good performance. The Arsenal performance, I don't think, was as bad as everyone keeps saying. I know we got outclassed by the better team. There's no 2 ways about it.
But still, your goalkeeper drops the ball in the net.
Yeah, and if that doesn't happen, maybe you're looking... And the second half performance, if we put one of those chances away early, we could have got back into that game. Yeah. And then we go 1-0 away to Fulham, who are on really good form. So are we starting to see the cogs turn a little bit for Tottenham now?
I think so. I mean... And it's weird, like, when you're a fan and you're so like worried about how your club's run, and you're so worried about not getting signings, and you're so worried about how thin your squad is, all these things can, like, compound. But we don't know what's actually happening on the practice pitch. Like, we don't know that what we could be seeing just recently is that things are starting to come together a little bit more. So things are. You got Bentancur back. He's a huge, and he's not back at his full fitness, and yet you can see how he's changing games.
Kim and Kane are our most important players. Oh, those 3 players.
Kulusevski's not back fully fit yet, but he's not. You can see he doesn't want to pull the trigger and just go for it. But you can already see, what he does just for the options he gives us. So I do think, like, especially, I mean, if you can do something decent in the last week or so of the transfer window, then God knows, I think we could go on a run. I think we have it. I definitely think we have it in. It would be very weird if Spurs went a whole part of the season and didn't really go on a run. And I wouldn't call the start of the season a run because I don't think we played great football. I'm talking about when like going on that run where it's like, oh man, we're not going to get beat here.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's possible.
Yeah, I agree. So 1 week to go of the transfer window. So tick-tock, Daniel Levy, get some players through the door finally. But I do think, there's more positive news coming out about Pedro Porro today. So hopefully that's going to get done.